Hello friends, welcome to Self Study. This is Dr. Raj, your online learning partner. This is the third part of the last lesson. In this part, we'll discuss the major points, the important points of the lesson in notes form. See, Franz was the story is told as I discussed. If you have not, watched the previous video, these videos are linked to the previous two videos. So please do watch those videos before watching this. Here we'll discuss the major points. So that day, Franz was late for the school. He was fear of being scolded. M. Hamel would ask questions on participles. Franz knew nothing of the participles. He feared M. Hamel very much. That's why he didn't want to go to school. He was late. Franz was unwilling to go to the school. There are many reasons. Franz feared scolding. Outside weather was very tempting. It was a warm, bright morning. Birds were chirping at the edges of the woods. Prison soldiers were doing drilling practice at the back of the sawmill. He thought of running up and spending day outside, but then he decided to go to the school that day. So the boy was unwilling. If there is a question on why was Franz unwilling to go to the school, you can consider these points. Why was he to be scolded, why he feared being scolded. You can give the previous 3 points. Then on the way to the school, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. The bulletin board was famous for the bad news, the lost battles, the drafts, the orders from the commanding officers. Franz hurried to the school, but Watcher was a blacksmith of that area, advised him to go slowly. It was, of course, that was an ironic statement. Franz reached the schools. Usually when the school begins, there was a great buzzer which could be heard outside in the street also. Opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison, the teacher's rule rapping on the table. Franz counted on this commotion, these noise to get into the desk without being seen. In the school, that day school was an exception. That day it looks very different. The school was quite like a Sunday morning. The students were already in their places. M. Hamel was walking up and down with his ruler under the arm. He did not scold Franz and told him to sit. M. Hamel was dressed beautifully in a green coat, frilled shirt and black silk embroidered cap. Villagers were sitting on the back benches. They were very sad. So how that day was a different day for the point of view of that school. Announcement by the teacher. It was the last day in the school. It was his last day in the school because he had to give his last lesson in the French language to the students. The order had come from the Berlin to teach German only in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. New teacher was coming the next day. What was the boy Franz thinking? Franz had a sense of remorse, a feeling of remorse, because he did not know how to write French. He never learned it seriously. He was sorry for seeking the bird's eggs during the school time, during the school hours, and going for sliding on the Saar. There was a sudden change in mind. Suddenly he started loving his grammar and history book. He started liking the teacher. He forgot his cranky nature. How elders showed their respect to the last lesson. M. Hamel was wearing his best clothes in respect of his last lesson. The village people were gathering in the honor of the teacher's 40 years of faithful service. In respect to their country which will not be theirs anymore. They were very sorry for not going to the school anymore. So sometimes this question is asked why these village people were sitting on the back benches. Franz turns to decide. When Franz turned to decide came, he got puzzled in the very first line. He got terrified. His heart was beating fast. He could not dare to look up at the teacher. Teacher's reaction? The teacher did not scold anyone. He said that students must not feel bad for this condition. Everyone is kept postponing their tasks. Students neither can speak nor write French properly. And he blamed the students for postponing their lesson. He blamed the parents for sending their work to the farm rather than the school. And he blamed himself, the teacher, for engaging them in the garden and announcing a holiday when he went fishing. So these 3 people, students, parents and teacher, are responsible for non-learning of the language or the classes. His feeling towards his mother tongue. He praised the French language as the most logical, the clearest, and the most beautiful language. Mother tongue is a key to the prison, he said. The last lesson. That day French understood the lesson very carefully or very well because he was very attentive, and the teacher tried to deliver his best. He explained everything with great patience. The teacher gave new copies to everyone, beautifully written, France, Alsace. All of them looked, all those looked like tiny flags, small flags. No one paid any attention to anything but writing. MML was looking at everything. He wanted to treasure them up in his memory. Small children were chanting their Babe, Bibo, etc. Old Hauser was weeping and reading his primary book. School was dismissed. The church bell struck 12 o'clock. The teacher was filled with emotions. He could not speak. He wrote on the board as long as he could, as big as he could, Vive la France, which means long live France, and leaned against the wall. He announced the dismissal of the class with a gesture. I think this is all for this video. In the next video, we'll discuss how the major questions that can be asked in the board examination for class 12. Please do subscribe to the video so that you can get regular updates. Thank you.